Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Not entirely sure. How do you actually check the job? Alright, so this is going to be so hello. This is Matcha Sensei. It has been a very long time since I've been streaming because well, term 2 started in school and it's not just kept going. And I really wanted to do some flipped classrooms in between, but we weren't able to do them or make some extra videos to help you in understanding it. So finally, it's term break. I'm getting a little bit of rest. Managed to take a bit of rest yesterday with the long holidays, and yeah, I'll be finally managed to actually do a stream on this. Again, so far I don't see anyone, but if you're listening this through a VOD, anyway, welcome back to the stream. My name is I'm Matcha Sensei. I teach chemistry and additional mathematics for year 9s to 11s, mainly for IGCSE level. Here in my school, we're doing it year 9. But I teach IGCSE chemistry and additional mathematics. I'll say that my objective always in learning things is that we shouldn't let our education interfere with what we learn, and I want to make learning a very much more fun and accessible. And in a way, hopefully, if you're listening to this video in the future and you're seeing whether on how you want to improve your chemistry, hopefully this video, although it's not going to be the greatest thing that you see, will be help you a little bit. So today, what I'll be doing is going to be outlined very briefly here. I'll be firstly doing a quick overview of what is chemistry and what all of you will be listening for my year 9 students. These are the syllabus that you'll be going through in chemistry, and you'll see that I've divided it very, very differently as to how your textbooks mainly divide it. It's my own style, but I believe many other chemistry teachers will also agree with me that this is the best way to teach it. Then I'll be going to acid and bases, where we'll be discuss acid, bases, and salts. I'll be discussing very, very briefly what are acid and bases, what constitutes a strong acid, what constitutes a weak acid, and just a few principles at the same time, outlining just a few principles on how we are able to actually uh, define them in a way that is scientific and it's on the level of somebody who's taking the IGCSE exam. And then I'll be discussing a little bit on salts. For those who have seen my salts video, you know that I have 2 videos. I definitely recommend that you check out my channel where I discuss a little bit on salts. There is a flip classroom on that which you can actually follow, and it's kind of interactive. It will help you to actually understand the 3 different methods of salt preparation. And then after completion through acid, bases, and salts, I'll talk a little bit on water crystallization, and then after that I'll look at a few other things that are very critical in chemistry. So if you're new to chemistry, I definitely highly recommend that you also listen through. I'll be covering things that are the most basic of basics, such as your subatomic particles, your protons, your electrons, your neutrons, your electronic configuration, your chemical bonding. I will say that these 2 things are something that is critical to the central theme of chemistry. So without further ado, let's get things started. So when we look at the overview of chemistry, of what is chemistry itself, chemistry, I'll say, as any chemistry teacher will tell you, is the basis and is therefore the king of all science, of the 3 sciences. Without chemistry, there is no physics because there is no particles that can move physically, and without the basic particles of or matter in the universe, there is no biology, there is no life without the building blocks, or without their building blocks, and there are no building blocks without the atoms. So when we talk about chemistry, we are talking about the most basics of basics, the basic of matter, or the simplest forms of matter, and how, as we move up from the minute scale of an atom, how does that affect all things that we know and love, both the both things that are living as well as things that are not living. So at the heart of it, the basics of chemistry that you will always want to focus on, especially if you're starting off in your first term or first or second term, is that you want to get down a few basics, your basics down. And I'll underline these chapters as my basics. The first one is the subatomic particle. This is usually chapter 2 in your textbook. In your textbook, it's sometimes called atoms, particles, and matter, or something along the lines. It will discuss about the different subatomic particles such as the protons, electrons, neutrons, how they actually affect, how they create ions, how the electrons are arranged in an atom, and subsequently why is that important. We'll see that actually in the next chapter. Actually, in this case, I would probably put the periodic table a bit lower from this, in the sense that that the protons, electrons, neutrons, particularly the electron arrangement, affects the chemical bonding. In terms, there are a few types of chemical bonding, where the goal of chemical bonding is to have stable atoms, and in order to have stable atoms, different atoms of atoms of different elements must either give electrons, receive electrons, or share electrons to form a stable arrangement, or what we call as a stable valence electronic configuration. It's a lot big word, but if you break it down, it makes it very easy enough. Try to explain that a little bit to the end of the chapter. And then next is chemical formula. What are you will have to chemical formula is your basic vocabulary of chemistry. There are certain terms that you must memorize. It's you could say that it is your alphabet as well as your dictionary, and that these names are things that will always stick, especially when we learn chemistry itself. Finally, we have the periodic table. The periodic table is something that you cannot run away when you're doing chemistry. It is part of you must understand. You in the periodic table you learn how things change down a group. What or actually you learn what are groups as well as periods. You learn what changes across a period. You learn what changes down a group, and you look at very specific groups in particular, groups 1, the alkali metals, group 7, the halogens, and groups 8, the noble gases, as well as a large mega group called the transition elements. And you will are introduced to some of the most um, basic physical properties that they have, as well as the chemical explanation why they have those physical properties. And after that, you also have experimental technique where you focus, which hopefully your teachers bring you to the lab. They teach you uh they teach you on different on different techniques on how to do experimentation. And yeah, just give me a while. Right. Uh, yeah. Right, guys. Looks like there's been a bit of technical issues. You'll have to wait for a while. I'll have to just pause the stream here. I forgot.